Well, hey, and welcome back. I'm Eddie, if you haven't listened to any of my podcasts before. Yeah, and this is Chat With Me. And yes, I know nobody can actually literally chat with me right now, but there's other ways of doing it with technology. But for right now, you know, find me on social media. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, you know. I even created a little YouTube channel. Now, granted, right now it's just the podcast with some visuals, you know. Maybe I'll do more stuff on that one. I don't know, you know. I haven't figured that one out yet. But for those who like the visuals and would rather listen and see some visual stuff, go for it. Switch on over there. Go follow it if you want. If you don't, that's fine. So while I was wrapping up and doing the other little series on showing grace, I had a friend of mine reach out to me on Facebook, and they had asked me to talk about toxic traits. I was like, really? I was like, am I that toxic of a person? They're like, no, just you know, just some stuff on like toxic traits. Help people identify them. I'm sitting there going, man, I that means I have to do work. That means I got to go research a little bit more. Yes, of course, I can go back through, my life, my interactions, see where I was quote unquote toxic, see where other people were quote unquote toxic to me, things like that. But again, in the little idea of, just trying to become better and better every day, I was like, yeah, why not? Why not go research what some toxic traits are? For me, it was very interesting. I was able to go through just a few. I mean, it's not like I sat there and looked up some like toxic trait wheel. Uh, but, I kind of made a list of about 30 toxic traits to be aware of in yourself and others. And like I said, it was kind of cool for me, because going through and looking at this stuff, I was like, wow, Eddie, are you doing these things? And if you are, stop it. Stop it. Also, it caused me to reflect a lot. Okay, well, did I do these things in the past? How did that impact other people's lives? Things like that, so that I could start working on being better myself. Again, that's kind of like my whole thing in life now. My life to some was a cakewalk, to others was a shit show, and to me it was just like, oh God, what the fuck? Why is this happening to me? Why did I do that? How could I possibly have allowed somebody to do this to me? You know, and not saying it was a pity party, but my life is my life. The things happened in it. I did the things. I made the choices. Other people made choices. They did things to me. And it is what it is. And I'm not going to sit there in that pig pen, in the slop, boo-hooing and crying. Yes, I still have my moments, but I'm having fewer. And it's because I feel I keep going, I keep reflecting, I keep trying to work on things and bettering myself, which keeps taking me further and further and further away from said pig pen. I'm trying to be nice with that, the pig pen, the mess, the chaos, the destruction, everything that I caused, everything that other people caused in my life, everything that I allowed to be caused in my life, the areas where I allowed destruction, the things where I just sat back and was like, I can't do anything about this. And boom, chaos, drama, things like that. So, but it was neat because I started going through and jotting things down and looking at those things within me and within other people, and I was like, okay, maybe I can talk about some of this stuff, and maybe it'll help enlighten some people. Some of y'all may already know all this stuff and be like, okay, this guy could talk more on that, or oh, this guy really needs to do some more studying. He's way off point with that. Regardless, this is just what my personal opinion. This is just my thoughts and things like that. So let's move forward. This one may be a long one, and I apologize. I don't know if I might maybe I'll break this up into other episodes. I'm not sure yet, but let's just start rolling with it, okay? So obviously toxic has become such a buzzword out there. Everybody's toxic. She looked at me wrong. She's toxic. Oh, she was hurt by a man and has this bad view of men. She's toxic. Oh, I mean, I've even seen people say that men are toxic for simple, kind gestures, like opening the door for a woman. Now I want to touch base on that really quick before I move forward. Okay, if I offend somebody by opening the door for them, I apologize. That was not my intent. I just feel as though if I'm with a lady, there are just some core things I need to be doing. Open the door for her. Even if I'm not with you, if I see a lady approaching a door, I'm going to just try to be kind and open the door. If you feel as though that is toxic, my apologies. That was not my intent. Now, if I'm out and about with a lady, like a special someone, which, anyway, I'm going to open the car door. I'm going to open the building door. I'm going to walk on the outside of the curb. Those are just some values that I keep alive and I'm training into my boys to do. It's just a kind gesture. And there's reasons behind it, which I could probably talk about on another podcast, if anybody would be interested in that. But anywho, let's move forward. But toxic, capable of causing serious harm to a person's health and well-being. I am not 100% sure that opening a door for a lady, whether it's a random lady or a lady I'm taking out on a date, not that I've been on one of those in a long time, or if I'm opening the car door, or if I'm walking on the outside of the curb, I'm not sure if that's causing serious harm to a person's health or well-being. It's just me being kind. So, moving forward with this. Obviously, again, toxic, buzzword. It's great. Everybody's toxic. Okay. And hey, there might be some validity in that. We all have toxic traits, small toxic traits, and some have huge toxic traits, But, there are certain behaviors that do nothing but drag you down, hold you back, and cause you to suffer. Whether they're things you're doing yourself or other people, or another major person in your life, a parent, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, a husband, a wife, a fiance, if I dare, and this is not directed towards anybody, but exes. And remember, I'm an ex too. I'm an ex-husband. So when I say stuff about exes, I really got to look at that and be like, yeah, you know what, I'm an ex too. So, twice. I'm not going to count the ex-girlfriends in high school. Nothing against them, but that doesn't really count as an ex, or does it? I don't know. But again, the behavior that causes that harm can rightfully be, called or classified as toxic because of the negative impact or effect on your life, whether it's your mental health, your emotional health, your physical well-being. It's just going to, like I said, it's going to have that negative impact or effect. Again, one of the things that these toxic traits have is the ability, or quote unquote power, to suck the joy and happiness from within you, your life, and it's going to get replaced with stress, anger, sadness, other negative feelings. So one of the things that I feel that I needed to do when I was looking this stuff up was try to free myself from those things. The things that I was doing that could be viewed as, or definitively were or are toxic. And I'm trying to have that shift in the way that I view and interact with the people around me. So, little insight as to kind of what I was doing while I was looking this stuff up. So, years ago, my daughter told me, it was after my second divorce. I was down and out, and things weren't going good. Things were going horrible. But most divorces typically aren't like all rainbows, butterflies, and unicorns weren't dancing around in my life after either one of my divorces. But after my second one, I went from a large 5-bedroom house to a 3-bedroom apartment. you know. So I had all this furniture and stuff, and so my apartment was just cluttered. It looked like a thrift store, you know. It looked like a garage sale was happening in it. So constantly, it was just a lot of clutter. And my daughter came over and she's like, you know, it's cluttered. You know, she said a lot more stuff, but I'm trying to paraphrase this, keep it a little quicker. But through talking, I was like, yeah, I gotta get rid of this, I gotta get rid of that. You know, I'm like, sell this. This is broken, throw it away. Not that I was hoarding. It was just a lot of chaos going on, and just finding the time and the energy to do this stuff. And basically, throughout this whole conversation, she was like, you know, Dad, you really need to, um, declutter. And she goes, not just the apartment. She goes, but your emotions, your mind. She goes, everything. She goes, you need to declutter your life. Granted, she was, let's see here, 16, 17 years old when she said this to me. And I was like, golly, this kid's got some good insight. And the conversation was longer and there was a lot more said. But basically, to sum it up, she was right. I needed to declutter my apartment. I needed to get rid of a lot of stuff. I needed to declutter my mind. I needed to declutter the toxicity that was happening to me, as well as that I was putting out there in the world, you know. So I did what I could then. I really didn't look into it. I just started trying to find more peace, you know, get rid of a bunch of stuff, open, more space up, things like that, you know. But with this, when I was asked about, hey, talk about toxic traits, I was like, all right. So I start looking into it, and made my little list of about 30. I may or may not cover them all. I might be beating a dead horse. I am not sure yet, but we're going to keep rolling. But one of the biggest things was manipulation of others. Okay, obviously we all know manipulation. That is a very negative thing, whether you're being manipulated or manipulating others. Because I can tell you this, being manipulated is not an enjoyable thing to have done to you, especially not when it's taken to extremes. Literally can destroy someone's self-worth, self-value. It can bring on anxiety and depression, and it's just this tumbling destruction, like a building collapsing, to manipulate others or to be manipulated, can destroy you in a lot of different ways, So just depending on which perspective, you're looking at it, it may seem like you can get more of what you want by exploiting others, So you start manipulating. And so it looks like it's a positive from your end, I mean, heck, you go out there, you start manipulating people on social media. They start sending you money. Wow, you're blowing up. But what happens when those people start realizing they were manipulated? They start to turn on you, because they now feel, a certain way, because they feel like they're being deceived, and whatnot, and they're going to turn on you. And with social media, people will turn fast on you, But the thing is manipulating others, it's never going to provide you that fulfillment. It's always going to be like a short-term thing, in that moment. Oh, I manipulated my parents, so I got the Xbox, or I got the PlayStation 4000, I manipulated my girlfriend, so we had happy time, And I laugh more about my comment than the situation. I mean, that right there, that's a whole other set of legal issues, I manipulated my husband so that I could get this, or my boyfriend, or my fiance, whatever the case might be. You're getting what you want right then and there, potentially, but that's not like an everlasting thing that's going to give you that inner fulfillment that we all desire. Because in my opinion, the what you got, the prize, the reward, the yay, I got this, it's kind of tainted, because inside you're going to be dealing with some grief, whether it's your own personal grief, or you're going to watch that person that you manipulated dealing with grief and misery. And you got to remember, you inflicted that on them. Those were your actions. And yeah, there's people might say, oh, salespeople manipulate, influencers manipulate. Okay, there are a lot of fine lines and blurry lines. I'm talking right here about straight up manipulation. I am going to do and say these things to this person or these people just so that I can gain from that. Um, so I had to look back. How many times have I manipulated? And I mean, definitely as a kid, tried manipulating my parents. Um, and after my first divorce, I gotta admit there were some times where I probably, to quote unquote get my ex-wife off my back, manipulated a situation to try and get myself a reprieve, a little bit of time, a little bit of space, from the ever pressing questions. Ex-wife number one and I, we were younger, obviously. We had some issues, outside influences impacting those issues, and we both would go we would both go at each other's throats here and there. But overall, the great thing was we never. I can't say we never. We did our best to see when the children were manipulating our us or each other. As in, like, I'd have to see, oh, I think the kids are manipulating. We would at least communicate, hey, the kids are saying this, the kids are saying that, blah, 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 blah. And so we were able to curb some of that. And her and I, again, we may not get along now, but in times of need, we're both there for each other. We would rather not be. But, if it's a dire need that has to do with the kids, yeah, we're going to put all of our differences aside. We're going to talk. We're going to communicate. It may not be the most polite, but we're not going to sit there and try to manipulate the other one into anything to where we can get a personal gain out of it. So we've realized that's just not healthy for us, let alone our children. And our two kids are grown now, but we're still not going to do that to each other. And I definitely appreciate that. Again, we're not best friends, but we're not going to do something that could impact the kids negatively. But another area, lying. Whoo, man! When I looked back at that, I was like, God, as a kid, I lied all the dang time. I constantly lied. I was not a good kid. But like in all relationships, all types of relationships to some degree, are built on, trust between each other, which is why lies are capable of like so much destruction, heartache, and pain. You start lying, then you got to lie more to cover up the lie, and then the problem is you're lying so much that you forget what the truth is. And yeah, of course, break up, you're gonna say she lied, he's gonna say she's gonna say he lied. It's gonna be this back and forth thing, but it's difficult, okay? Because when it comes to breakups and stuff, there's always three sides. Well, it comes to anything, there's three sides to every story: their version, your version, and the truth. And yeah, I don't like to say her truth, his truth, and the truth. The truth is the truth is the truth. And lying is altering things to persuade someone to think differently. It's distracting from the truth. So, while in a breakup she's going to tell her version of the story, that's her interpretation of it, and you're going to tell your version, and that's your interpretation of it. In the middle is the full truth. And when you can self-reflect and you can look back and you can say, oh crap, okay, that's not really what happened. And like I talk about that in my one book, FML. I had a conversation, like a deep, awesome conversation with my first ex. I cannot fully remember what she said verbatim. What I do recall is what I heard and what my brain was telling me she meant by what I thought I was hearing. And to be honest, it wasn't even close to what she was actually saying. She was building me up. She was trying to lift me up, She was doing it in an aggressive way. Her tone wasn't, oh, Eddie, you're amazing. Well, no, duh. My ex-wife's not going to tell me I'm amazing. But she was pointing out areas in the past where I'd done great things. And I do remember, to paraphrase, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, get your butt in gear, do it for your kids, be better. What I was gathering from all the other words she had said in that moment, because I was highly emotional and not paying attention, which is probably one of the reasons, well, one of the many reasons her and I aren't together anymore. But I was younger, I was dumber, I was blah, blah, blah. But what I heard was a totally different negative narrative that I sucked and I was horrible, So anyway, I'm going off on a tangent, but I was lying to myself for a while about what she had said, and then through self-reflection and some meditation and things like that, it started to be like, wait, no, because look at the actions, this something else was different. That's not what she was saying. And so I tried and tried and tried, and it was weird the way our brain works, because I heard this motivational speech, and like in that moment I was like, oh my God, that's what she was saying to me 3 years ago. Not those exact words, but that was the message she was conveying to me, And so, yeah, I mean, we were married and we're divorced. There's still a relationship there because we have kids, and those children will, hopefully, I want to be a grandpa. Hopefully they'll produce children. They're going to get married, things like that, So, again, honesty is not always easy, especially not being honest with yourself, but it is generally the best option for a long-term, healthy, happy relationship, even if it was with an ex, if you have to have that connection. And there's all these relationship gurus, silent treatment, no contact, yada, yada, yada. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about lying, and I'm just using myself as some examples there in some very tough situations, And even if the truth is going to hurt you, it is so much better than living a lie or having to, continuously lie after lie after lie after lie, So that's why I like self-reflection. I utilized my first ex in that, because I literally was lying to myself about what she said. She wasn't trying to help me. She was trying to beat me down. No, she was trying to lift me up. And 3 years later, I can sit here and say, man, I really appreciate that she did that for me, Seriously. So that was a toxic trait. As a kid, I lied. As an adult, I lied to myself, And lying to yourself is a huge issue. It is, in my opinion, a little worse. But we'll just say it's equal to lying to other people. I feel as though it's worse, Because in lying to yourself, in lying to other people, you're never going to find any type of peace. Short term, possibly, but it's not lasting peace, which is what I think most of us really want to do. So even lying to yourself about who you really are isn't good. That's why, like, when I work with clients and I tell them, we're going to set goals, I want them to be realistic. Don't lie to yourself and tell yourself you can do something tomorrow when you're not going to do it, or you can't do it. When doing daily affirmations, okay, your goal is to make 6 digits a year. Don't lie to yourself and say, I'm a 6-figure income earner. No, let's be realistic. Daily affirmation, I am capable of doing the work to eventually get to that. That's realistic. That right there is a realistic affirmation. You are capable of that. And through hard work and determination, and through, you'll get that better job by sending out the resumes to the companies that have the job. So find a way to start telling yourself the truth. And that doesn't mean beat yourself up if you realize, oh man, I've been lying. So your daily affirmation shouldn't be, I'm a liar. Oh, I'm such a horrible person. I'm toxic. No. Put the positive spin on that in your daily affirmation. I have lied for long enough. I am going to stop. I will work on this. When I catch myself lying, I will turn around and tell myself the truth. Things like that. And this is not a how to do daily affirmations podcast. It's just talking about some toxic traits, and I'm going to sprinkle in life stories and examples and ideas, and hopefully some of it resonates. Another toxic trait is cruelty. Cruelty, And this one, I guess you could say it's all too easy to exhibit cruel and spiteful behavior, when you're feeling insecure and you're under pressure. You feel like you're being attacked, somebody's out there spreading rumors about you. Ooh, it's real easy to be like, boom, let me flip that switch. I got you, boo. I'm coming back at you, you know? Little slip ups, and all of this are totally understandable. But when you start relying on revenge or being mean to other people in order to give yourself that boost, you know, when you've got to sit there and lie to people all over the place about somebody else and your situation just to gain that lift, that's a problem that needs fixed, you know. Not only can it be detrimental to their life, let's just talk about like defamation of character. Defamation of character isn't just saying mean things about somebody. Defamation of character is lying about somebody to a point where other people's opinions of that person start to change to a negative. And there's a whole other big slew of legal terms. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an attorney. I don't know the law, but with what I've been through in life, I looked some stuff up about it. So you're out there, you're spreading rumors about your mom or your dad or your brother or your ex, whether it was ex, boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, husband or wife, and people's opinions start changing. You're getting that boost. You're going, oh yeah, I'm getting lifted up. Ooh, I gained another follower. Ooh, I got another donation. Ooh, another customer came in and bought my shirt. Or, ooh, he just lost another friend. She lost another friend. Ooh, I caused them to start losing followers. That's cruel. Not cool, but cruel. Cruelty. That is a very malicious thing to do to somebody, And so not only is it detrimental to their life, but you've got to live with the fact that you caused that destruction, and it's going to be detrimental to your life. You can even lie about yourself so much and be cruel to yourself that you start destroying your own life. Not just with your happiness, but your own job and things like that, So it's a highly unattractive thing, And it can leave you isolated because other people are going to distance yourself or themselves from you if you're doing this to yourself. If they find that you're doing this to other people, they're probably going to distance themselves from you as well because they don't want to be around that type of behavior. And I mean, in all honesty, if you're out there doing this to other people, what's stopping you from doing it to them eventually? So they're not going to want to be around it. So you're isolated. Now you're losing friends. You might pick up some new ones over here, or let's just say, it's on social media. You lose these followers, you gain some more. But the problem is it's this ever revolving cycle. I gain more. They found out the truth and they're falling off. Or maybe not even that they found out the truth. They just feel that what you're doing is just cruel and unusual. And they know there's a lie. They don't know the truth, but they start to fall away from you, So, and to be honest, most of the negative things, this stands true. Most of these toxic traits, this stands true. But cruelty is far less effective than more positive acts in making yourself feel better. If you have to be cruel to make yourself feel better, you really need to do a lot of self-reflection. And it is hard. It is a lot of work, just like anything that we do to better ourselves in life. It is very difficult. It is hard work, but it is so worth it to be more effective in life by implementing more positive acts to make yourself feel better. So, it's just my opinion on three of those topics, manipulation of others, lying, and cruelty. I definitely love that old saying of you attract more bees with honey than with vinegar, And so if you're trying to better yourself, if you're trying to get out of a toxic relationship, if you're trying to get away from negativity and drama and all that stuff, find positive ways to do it. Otherwise, you're just becoming what you're trying to get away from. And it's easy to do that because that's what we're used to. Some of us are used to that, you know? So, and it also goes with, take the high road. Somebody's out there spreading rumors about you. Yeah, of course, you probably have all the evidence in the world. You've got all the proof, all the witnesses. You can go to the world and be like, look at all this. That person's a liar. Yeah, you're standing up for yourself, and that's a whole other topic, about bullies and standing up for yourself, standing up for people who were bullied, and when does the bully become the bullied? I've got total views on that, but that's later. Right now, it's just let's focus on: are we being toxic to ourselves? Are we being toxic to other people? Are some of these traits you're seeing in someone who's involved in your life? Do you need to talk to them? Do you need to see if you can help them change that? Do they want to change their behavior? Or is it better to just be like, hey, this is toxic. It's too much. I'm disassociating, So, and hey, it might be like, hey, everybody in my circle is amazing and phenomenal, and the little bit of toxicity, I can handle this. Great. That is actually phenomenal, because there are some people in my life that are a little toxic, but it's really not as bad as other people. So, I just sit there, and not that I put up with it, but I work with them. When they are toxic, I've set boundaries, and I will communicate. Hey, not in these little words, but that was a little toxic. Or hey, that this is how that impacted me, and I'm not sure if that's how you meant it. So there's ways of toxicity being in your life, and people in your life being a little toxic, that you can not necessarily like, ooh, shut it down, but you can work with those people and hopefully refine that to where you can understand where they were coming from, and you guys can work on that in your relationship. But I digress. So, another toxic trait: selfishness. Holy cow! I could probably go for 5 hours talking about areas where I was selfish. But I think we also get a lot of times when somebody's practicing self-love and self-care and taking their me time, some people, and typically the toxic people in the relationship, get offended by it. And they're like, oh, you're so selfish. I can't believe you want to go get your nails done. I can't believe you're going to the gym. Well, if it's scheduled and it's not taking up their entire life, and now they're avoiding you for all this stuff, yeah, that goes into different issues. But a lot of things get misinterpreted as selfish when it comes to someone taking care of themselves. So a little bit of selfishness, I think, is okay when it comes to taking care of yourself. Now, if you're always leaving the spouse to go hang with the boys or the ladies and getting drunk and doing all this stuff, that's a little different. But I think most people can actually determine that on their own. That probably goes without saying, So... And I'm also, okay, so like with selfishness, I'm not saying you should become a people pleaser, because it's equally as detrimental to your let me restart that. It is equally as detrimental to your mental health and welfare to act in a selfish and egocentric way. And that's really self-explanatory, If you're constantly trying to please everybody, it's going to be tiring. It's going to drain you. I have done that for years, and I looked like death. I could go to the gym, I could work out, I could lift weights, I could do my jiu-jitsu, I could roll for hours, but mentally I was breaking down. And a lot of things, I started to lash out with a lot of toxic behaviors. So this little journey, has helped me realize that. Ooh, I would say, I had a short fuse. I would get irritated really fast. And yeah, psychologically, again, I'm no psychologist, but there's reasons for that, and it's defense mechanisms. But it still hit me as those were toxic behaviors of mine. So. Being selfish, again, it's just something that is just going to drive people away from your relationship. with them, whether it's a romantic or it's just a friendship or family, you know. Even people who have cared for you deeply are going to, push you away, or they're going to leave, at times, so but focusing in on one's own interest, like, too much, because it's all about balance. It's going to destroy trust. It's going to destroy respect, and it's going to lead to, like, fake relationships with other people, And there's a lot that I could talk about, probably, about selfishness. This is like tip of the iceberg type stuff, because, like I said, taking the time to go to the gym to make sure that you are healthy is not a bad thing. Ladies, going and getting your hair done or your nails done and the mani-pedis, that's not necessarily a selfish act. I guess with that, with a lot of things, it's the communication between you and your loved one or loved ones. So selfishness, it's a very broad thing. I could probably talk a lot longer on that one, but it's a lot of these things, I think, have to do with communication. And again, it's getting your hair and nails done. I'm just using that. Okay, you want to know? I'm sorry, ladies. I'm going to get off of y'all. The boys, going and hanging out with the boys every so often, and communicating it and making sure that it doesn't impact things in your household negatively or in your relationship negatively. If you're not always doing that and taking away from the other important people and things in your lives, you got to create that balance. So one way of going and hanging out with the boys is selfish. Another way of doing it is not. And you obviously, within yourself and your relationships, you have to figure that stuff out on your own. Everybody's different. Everybody's going to communicate differently. And you got to find a way to do that so that you can differentiate your time for self-care is not being selfish in a negative way. Yes, I mean, there's a lot of people that'll debate that. Oh, going to the gym is selfish. You're taking time away from the family. Okay, if I don't, I'm going to become unhealthy, so I'm going to do it for this agreed upon time, and I'm going to A, B, C, D, F, G. We're going to lay out the boundaries in the landscape of this so that it is not a negative selfishness. So, I'm gonna move on, because you guys, a lot of what I do is now you guys look at the things that you're doing. You guys go, if you think you're being selfish, go out there and figure out ways to figure your scenario out and how to make it not selfish. So we're gonna move on. This one I love. And I should probably just stop here and do another one here. But okay. Anyway, I've already mentioned this one I love. A sense of entitlement. Holy cow. That is one thing. Again, I'm 44 years old. We 40 plus year olds, heck, even some 30 plus year olds, mid 30s and up. This generation is so entitled. Yes. But there's also a lot of entitled. There are people my age and older that have this strong sense of entitlement. I did my time, I deserve. Things like that, But when you go through life believing that you are owed something, you will experience an endless sense of deficiency. What did you do to deserve that? Life's not easy. Life's not fair. We all got to work for things. I can say there's some things that I did not deserve in my life. What happened to me when I was a kid. Having another boy touching me inappropriately. I didn't deserve that. But that's not a sense of entitlement. That's a totally different scenario. Again, I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist. So I can say that there are things in my life that I did not deserve. But everything I have, I worked for. Whether it was through actual, like, a job, earning the money, exchanging the time for money, and then exchanging the money for the thing, heck, even some negative things. I earned that, I've got a bad shoulder. I earned that bad shoulder. No, I can't say chronic pain, but the continuous pain that keeps coming and going. I didn't take care of it. My actions earned this issue. you know? So it's a different way, to look at things, but it helped me out in this mindset of like, not that I don't deserve anything positive, but I am going to work to achieve and get those positive things. A lot of people tell me, because I've joked about it a few times. I'm single. And I'm not going to sit here and talk about the possible potential of anybody in my life or anything like that. But I get told a lot, you deserve love. You deserve love. No, I need to work for love. I need to work for trust. And it doesn't, and in relationships, obviously, it has to be a two-way street. I'm not going to sit there and talk to some woman of interest and be like, well, I'm going to show her all this love, and she doesn't have to do anything. Well, no, I mean, reciprocation, but that's relationship advice. That's a different thing. But as lucky as, and I'm not a huge fan of the word lucky. But as lucky as most of us are, we have clean water, we have a roof over our heads, food on the table, some more than others, but to my knowledge, there is no natural law stating a minimum standard of living that any of us are entitled to. I don't work, I don't earn money, I don't earn money, I don't have money, I can't buy the necessities in life. Now, granted, there are going to be some people out there that, depending on the circumstances, might donate, might, say, hey, happy birthday, Merry Christmas, here's $100, here's $200, or hey, I found this 20 on the street, you want it? But even with this podcast, like I do have, a Patreon account that if people want to go for it, but nobody owes me anything to sit there and be like, oh, I'm going to go to his Patreon. I'm going to, sign up for one of his memberships. No, I need to earn that. This is only my 6th episode. I've got it set up for if people want to go to that, but y'all don't owe me anything. I don't deserve people going to my Patreon. I don't deserve, this thing blowing up after 6 episodes. I'm putting content out to try and earn y'all's respect, to try and build a community. If something out of this comes out of it financially, great. If not, I'm still here to do this stuff, and continue to do it. But again, there's no law stating a minimum standard of living that anyone is entitled to. You may desire to have more money, have better lifestyle, better living conditions, something that's more lavish and expensive, and the Lamborghinis or beautiful trips and vacations. Thing is you need to expect to work for those things, whether it's having a talent, actors and actresses. I mean, even that's fun, but that's got to be some grueling work. You got to work for the things that you want and need. So these people get out there on social media, and yes, I'm on social media. They expect, oh, I did this dance, I did this trend, I wear this T-shirt, I'm pushing this product. Why are people not following me? You got to work at that stuff. Some people blow up faster. I could say, oh, it's because he's a handsome dude with big biceps and 12-pack. She's gorgeous, so of course, oh, he's half naked, she's half naked. Well, okay, but they're putting work in, so I can't fault them for putting the work in and having an appealing physique that attracts people to follow them and all this stuff. They've done work. Now, granted, on the flip side, there are people who they get out there and they scream like with this entitlement attitude, and it's entertaining, and so people follow. But just because you're putting something out there doesn't mean people have to buy it. Doesn't mean people owe you anything. Heck, even when I lend money out to people, helping a friend out, I don't expect that. I mean, the universe will take care of me eventually. I put it out there. I'm a Christ follower. I pray. Eventually, this stuff will come back. It may not be at the same level. Might be less. It might be just what I need that day. But yeah, the sense of entitlement has totally gotten out of control, in my opinion, and it needs to be corrected. So I looked at some things in me, and I realized, for a while there, I was getting entitled. I've done this in my life. I've done that in my life. I wrote these books. I spent 4 months. I spent the past year and a half, 2 years pushing my books, and I'm still only. Why? I'm doing all this. I deserve bigger book sales. No, I don't. No. Because I still haven't done enough to justify that, in my opinion. So I'm going to continue to work on that. And by that, I mean work on getting my books out there, work on getting this podcast out there and everything that I do, as well as working on having less of a sense of entitlement. You got to put the work in to get the reward. You can't just sit there and expect the reward to fall in your lap. But I think I've rambled quite a bit on this one. And so I'm probably going to do another one because that was only like 5 topics. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go at that point and definitely pick up on some other ones on another episode. So, but yeah, so it was awesome for me to self-reflect on those areas and see where I was or had been and continue to work on not being or work on being less. Whether it was selfish or entitled or cruel. I don't believe I've ever been cruel, but hey, it's my view through my glasses. Lying, I used to lie a lot as a kid, so I work on not doing that anymore. I did the work on, as I was growing up to stop lying and whatnot. So, just kind of take everything I've said with a grain of salt. If you feel as though you've done stuff, look into ways to change that, whether you're doing it to yourself or you're doing it to others or you're doing it to both yourself and others, But so I'll definitely be working on a part 2 for this one because we've got a lot of other things to work on, or to talk about, I should say. And yes, we always, every day, have something to work on ourselves to do better and be better every single day. So, but thanks for tuning in. Hopefully I didn't put you guys to sleep. And I hope that some of y'all come back and listen to the rest of my podcasts as I make them. But much love. Y'all have an amazing day. And on that note, that's a wrap. Thank you guys for, tuning in. If you enjoyed this and you want to continue to support the page, please click follow or subscribe or whatever the platform you're listening on says. Feel free to share this to other people that might find it entertaining or, heck, educational, I dare say. But, if you also want to continue to find other ways to support me and the podcast, you can head on over to my Beacons link. That's beacons.ai/Eddie Bowers. I also have a Patreon page. If you go over to patreon.com, just type in chat with me, and that'll take you to the page. There are a few different membership programs there. Do not feel obligated. Of course, I'd appreciate it. But you can just follow it there as well and see some updates. I do things that are just to the public, as well as some special things for members there. Every little bit counts. Every little bit helps. But the biggest thing is just you guys listening and finding me on social media and interacting with me. So again, I appreciate each and every one of you. Much love, and have an amazing morning, afternoon, day, evening, whatever time it is that you are listening to this. I appreciate you. Have an amazing day. And remember, you're worth it.